Guys, all right, we're going to go ahead and do chapter 12. It does not look like it's a very long chapter, so I'm going to try to do it just holding the phone today and see if I can make it happen. We'll see. All right, chapter 12. The picture-in-picture image was sharper than Jax had ever seen it in his 3 weeks at Sienta. It was himself from a range of 7 feet, the exact distance between him and Mr. Marvin, a shabby homeless man, probably in his mid-50s. The subject's focus on Jax's eyes, now deep aquamarine, was so intense that he was like a statue. His only motion was the rise and fall of his chest as he breathed. Dr. Mako sat behind Jax, overseeing the process. Ordinarily, the director floated around the institute, dropping in on the occasional session. He had insisted, however, on supervising this hypnotism personally. Keep him relaxed, Mako instructed. Clear his mind of all thoughts. You're reclining on the softest feather bed in the world, Jax said gently. The material cradles you in total comfort. The subject seemed to settle back on the hard wooden chair. With the man deeply entranced, Jax risked a look at the director as if to say, what next? Concentrate, Mako whispered. Hold him in your power. Don't lose him. Jax was a little confused. He couldn't lose his subject if he tried. The link was airtight. The PIP was so vivid that it seemed as real as the room around him. It was like looking in a mirror. This was the point where the staff member would usually tell him what to do to complete the exercise, induce an action or behavior. Last week, the Lancaster Singhas had convinced 2 subjects that they were chess masters, although neither had ever played the game. In spite of that, they had subsequently played a hard-fought match that had half checkers, half parcheesi. Dr. Mako had called it inspired. Jax had looked on with envy. How must it feel to have the great man heaping praise on you? He longed for it to be his turn. This one's a little unsteady. Okay. This could be the day. I've never felt a connection stronger, he thought. But first, Mako had to give him something to do. Was the director waiting for him to come up with something on his own? Am I blowing it? A great weight of failure pressed down on him. He hadn't chosen Sienta, but now that he was here, washing out was unthinkable. It's a little dark in here. No wonder he felt so depressed. He was a loser, alone, deserted. His beloved wife... Yes, it says beloved wife. Let's see. His beloved wife lost forever. Now, Jax obviously doesn't have a wife. It says wife? And then the image was upon him, a woman's face, dazzling smile, soft brown hair, upswept brows. She was laughing, which for some reason only made Jax sadder. All at once, the picture was fading, receding into a maelstrom of bellowing dust and smoke. He actually reached out for her, in spite of the fact that he knew it was only a vision, some kind of hypnotic side effect, and anyway, it didn't do any good. She was gone. The swirling mist faded to reveal a new picture, words engraved in marble, beloved wife and mother. A gravestone. When Jax began to cry, it was convulsive, great racking sobs that threatened to tear him open. Nothing in his 12 years came close to the shattering loss. It was all-consuming, a tragedy so overwhelming that it would be impossible to move beyond it. It was the end of the world. Caught up in his weeping, he was only dimly aware of the moment he slid from the chair, sinking to his knees. When the mesmeric link broke, it brought no relief, only the disorienting sensation of waking from a terrible nightmare. The image was gone, but the horror was still there. He would never be whole again. Even when Mr. Marvin had left the room and Jax was fully back to himself, the air of catastrophe surrounded him. "I'm sorry," he quivered, still trembling. "What happened?" Switching hands. "I should be the one apologizing to you," Dr. Mako said gently. "I could try to describe this phenomenon to you, but the only way to truly understand it is to experience it firsthand." Phenomenon? "The mesmeric connection is a powerful coupling of two minds," the director explained gravely. "You are in control, but also vulnerable. When you see through your subject's eyes, you've admitted a stranger's consciousness into your head. If the link goes on for too long, the subject's memories begin to leach into your brain. This can be like experiencing a lifetime of tragedy in a single moment." "It was his wife, right?" "His wife died?" Dr. Mako nodded. To absorb in an instant the emotional highs and lows of a 20-year marriage ending in catastrophe is not natural, especially for someone your age. You must learn to recognize when this is happening to you and set up defenses against it, or even bail out if necessary. For a mindbender, it is a simple self-preservation. What happens if you don't? Or if you can't? It is impossible to know. You might become hopelessly lost in the consciousness of another, or perhaps the two minds will begin to meld. Either path will almost certainly lead to madness. It was a sobering thought. He'd thought of hypnotism as a one-way operation, something to do to another person. It had never occurred to him that there was a flip side, that he might be in danger of his subject. "Thanks, Dr. Mako." He stood up to leave and then turned. "How did she die?" The director looked blank. "Mr. Marvin's wife," Jax explained. "What happened to her?" "It shouldn't matter to you," Dr. Mako replied. "You have to focus on your craft, not on the details of other people you mesmerize." "But I could tell he really loved her," Jax persisted. "She wasn't that old. Did she get sick?" "This is weakness," Dr. Mako warned. "It's just that I felt his sadness." "No, it was more than that. His sadness was my sadness. We were one mind." The director looked down at his notes and did not respond. Assuming he was being dismissed, Jack started out the door. "She died in 9/11, Dr. Mako said suddenly. Jax froze halfway into the corridor. "She went to work that morning and never came home. It was their wedding anniversary. It destroyed him." Dr. Mako regarded him critically. "Do you feel better now?" "You were right," Jax said in a strangled voice. "It's worse when you know." He stumbled out into the hallway, his face white. In his haste to get away from the memory that was not his, yet now somehow it was, he bumped into Augie and Kira. A stack of books dropped from Kira's arms and hit the floor. "Sorry," he mumbled, stooping to help gather them up. She took in his red-rimmed eyes and ghastly countenance. What's wrong?" Her glance shifted to the sight of the director leaving the room. "It was just you and Dr. Mako?" she asked sharply. "It was terrible," Jax confessed. "Mr. Marvin's wife." "Well, poor you," she said coldly and stormed away. Jax was mystified. "What was that for?" "Dr. Mako left you stranded in the link," Augie concluded. "It was like I lived a whole life in 8 minutes." The older boy nodded. "He only does it with the most promising hypnos. That's why Kira's upset. She was the last of us to get it. In her mind, she's being replaced." "What's she got to worry about? She's the best of us by far." "It's possible that our imperious leader doesn't think so anymore." Jax appraised Augie, searching for signs that the 17-year-old was pulling his chain. Augie was a good hypnotist and a brilliant student, yet he lacked the imagination for jokes and even sarcasm. Jax knew he was making progress at Sienta, but he was nowhere near Kira's level. Today was proof of that. He had very nearly lost himself in the morning of a 9/11 widower. To a certain degree, it had actually happened. The ache of Mr. Marvin's calamity hadn't gone away. The connection of their minds ensured that Jax would always own a small amount of that pain. He understood that his training had changed in a fundamental way. Up until this point, his lessons had focused on the mechanics of hypnotism and the possibilities. Now it was time for him to learn about something new, the risks. Okay, we're on to chapter 13. I hope that you guys are enjoying the books, or this book. I'm doing my best to try to be present for you guys. I know not everybody's got the opportunity to see these. I'm hoping that they get put on your Clever account and that everybody will have the option to be able to listen and read along or whatever you guys want to do. I miss you guys. Please leave me messages if you can. But I hope that we can see each other soon. Bye, guys.